It's time for a change of pace on the ZM channel. Today, I wanted to take a scroll down the memory lane that was the summer of 2011. The second summer of punk was petering out, Carter 4 was still bumping though, and somebody that I used to know was brand new on the charts. And little ZM has just received his first 3DS after holding on to his DS Lite for an eternity. The 3DS was my safe haven in a time that the world around me was warping at a rapid pace. And we're going to take a brief look at every possible DS/DS Lite era memory that I have game by game. Starting with demos. Being a broke boy in PA with no internet access meant that every single visit to McDonald's or Burger King was prime time to get some new games. Some of the ones I remember the most were Too Fast for Gnomes, a ridiculously dumb little runner platformer that I enjoyed, Crush 3D, which I had no clue was a port of a PSP game, Pushmo, which I really should have bought, but my little wrestling game Rotted Brain was so disinterested by, Lego Batman 2, which had voice acting in a Lego game. I was so shook. I never bought the game because I was kind of partial to the classic cutscenes and humor of the old ones. And lastly, both Fire Emblem Awakening and Sonic Lost World were such really nice little demos that gave you such a great appetizer for the game that I never bought either game. I got enough out of the demos. To be fair though, I had Sonic Generations, which I loved, so my Sonic needs were filled in that regard. We're gonna ease into a must-have section of any Nintendo library, the Mario games. We're gonna start with New Super Mario Bros. And the mini-games that were ported from N64 DS, and they blew me away as a kid. I absolutely loved this collection with all of my heart growing up. Luigi Poker, Find Luigi, and that weird snowball race game have taken precious hours off of my eternal clock that I'll never reclaim. Mario Kart DS was my shit though, oh my god. It's so good that I prefer it over any other Mario Kart game. I didn't have my own copy for the longest time though, so I was playing as Shy Guy on DS Download with my cousins, and that was the ultimate poverty indicator for me growing up. When I was the first kid in my class with Mario Kart 7 though, holy shit I was stoked. I felt like the shit. That game is a masterclass in everything that it set out to do. I absolutely loved playing as Wiggler and the Honey Queen. Mario 3D Land was also a super cherished game of my late childhood. It was pretty much perfect in my eyes, and it's such an accessible pick up and play game for me. I played it front to back a billion times over, and it's literally my comfort game once I finish editing for the day. Shout out Mario Tennis Open as well. I mean, super solid, super underrated game. It was actually my introduction to the series for the longest time because Wii Sports was my only sports adjacent game I had as a kid. Being broke meant that you had to pick one. I also loved the Mii costumes so much in that game. And before we cap off the Mario section here, I have to admit I was really wishing I had Mario Sports Superstars as a kid, rather than Hoops 3-on-3. I guess I'm better off where I landed up though, because good lord, Hoops 3-on-3 was the GOAT, and we need a remaster of that game on Switch so bad. We're gonna ease into the fighting games of my DS and 3DS collection growing up, and straight off the rip, Photo Dojo was my holy grail. The game isn't too awfully deep or complex, but just the notion that I could have my friends in a fighting game blew my fucking mind. I remember literally picto-chatting my neighbors through the walls on my DS Lite to tell them to come outside and pose for Photo Dojo on my 3DS. I was making the most out of my primitive technology. Life was so simple. Smash 4 was a marvel as a kid as well, because I never thought I'd have a portable fully fledged Smash port on the go. Admittedly though, I didn't play it all too much. My siblings and I preferred the Wii U version on the TV. Dead or Alive Dimensions was so sick though. I remember learning that there was grapples and just having a ball with that John. Alpha 152 was my main of course because it's ridiculously OP, and I was not the most coordinated child with fighting games. Speaking of being uncoordinated though, how about when I bought 3D Urban Champion and played the shit out of it for weeks? I have no clue what hooked me about that game. It's not all too great. I guess I was just a child seeking more violence in my portable gaming experience. I know we already covered 2 Mario Kart titles, but I gotta transition into the other racing games that I had growing up. Sonic Drift 2 was a pretty befuddling purchase by Little ZM, but I remember playing this one almost as frequently as MK7, which is really dumb sounding in hindsight. Talk about dumb though. How about when I bought Asphalt 3D as one of my first games? My small little internet embargoed brain never once considered that I paid $30 for a port of a phone game on a Nintendo console. That game kinda blows anyways. If there was ever one thing the 3DS had in spades though, it was adventure games though. Holy shit. I remember Kingdom Hearts 3D was the first game that I ever pre-ordered, and I didn't even get those stupid ass AR cards. I remember mildly enjoying the game though, so it's whatever. But Project X Zone, there's some history there. I have no clue why I wanted that game. Maybe it's because it reminded me of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, or like it had Morgan from Darkstalkers in it. But regardless, I had to download it at the McDonald's near my house for 3 fucking hours because their Wi-Fi was so horrible. And after 3 hours of me trying to get this game, my mom couldn't take it anymore and drug us home. I still did not finish downloading that game that we paid full price for. I was so traumatized from that day that I never really played the game all too much. But we gotta bring up Pokemon, right? I had Y and White growing up, and for as much as I loved beefing up Snivy on White, I had a ridiculous history with Y. It was actually the last game I got to work on my first 3DS's cartridge slot. I stayed up ridiculously late one night and played Y for like 8 hours straight while holding the cart in the slot with my finger. I have no clue why or how I did that and how it worked, but when I finally passed out from exhaustion and woke up the next day, I could never boot the game again. What a run. At least I had downloaded games though, like Four Swords Anniversary Edition. I don't know why I didn't latch onto this game, but my only memories of it were linking it up to my siblings' DS's and then throwing them off the cliffs and constantly killing them. I never once attempted to play the game the way it was told. To round out our adventure round though, I gotta shout out Kid Icarus Uprising. I remember that game having such nice packaging and it playing like a really solid first party release, that is, for the 3 hours that I spent with it. I took the card out somewhere near my grandma's bathroom, and to this day, I have no fucking idea where it went. I have no clue how I hid that I lost the game for all these years. If there was one thing that was totally my speed on the 3DS though, it was the sports games. I previously mentioned wanting Mario Sports Superstars, and having spent a few hours with it in the production of this retrospective, I thoroughly enjoyed the baseball section. It's not like Mario Super Sluggers or anything, but it's a really fun time waster. My favorite realistic sports time waster was Madden 3D. This had no reason to exist at all, but I'm so glad that it did. I can't tell you how many seasons I've played in this game, and I'm not even a football guy. The licensed music was so fun, the gameplay was smooth, and it was just the perfect pick up and play experience for little ZM. But if we're talking about fake sports though, WWE All-Stars was my dream come true. If you were a DS kid like me who liked wrestling, you had SVR 2010 and maybe the TNA game in terms of quality games until this fucking behemoth dropped. But dear God, can I firmly say that this was my most played 3DS game ever and the absolute best version of All-Stars. Every single DLC character was on the cart from the jump. We get a gauntlet mode and it retains all the FMV cutscenes, like what's not to love? This game is a masterpiece to me, and I'll be forever grateful for this port in my adolescence. I think I've glazed wrestling long enough though. I mean, let's look at some puzzle/strategy games. Remember fucking Stratego? This game was ridiculously fun to me growing up. It looks like the most boring slog of a game, but then you really get into it. And honestly, I kind of forgot all the mechanics because I'm an adult with responsibilities. But this game was sick. Plants vs. Zombies was a must-have too. I can't say how direct of a port this was compared to like the Flash, the online or Android versions of this, because this was the definitive version that I played, but it never felt shallow or compromised to me. The bowling levels were fun, I loved the different types of plants, the javelin zombie was such a pain in the fucking ass, the disco guy was sweet, and this was such a throwback for me. And before we move on, I gotta throw it to Tetris Axis. This is a game I have no clue why I asked for it, but I enjoyed my time with it. This was around the era of my 3DS collection where my grandma was just kind of seeing games on the shelf and asking if I wanted them. Oh, how I wish it was that simple now. I love the unique modes in this game too, and the inclusion of the Mii's was pretty fun too. My mom even just flat out rage quit when I had her try it because, quote, Tetris is flat, what the hell is this? Our final collection of titles today is the Life Sims and the Miscellaneous round. Cooking Mama waited too long to be mentioned on the ZM channel. I adored this series. I played it to death as a kid, mastered the game, and literally bought my girlfriend a copy for Christmas last year. I loved when you'd spin the meat grinder or dice up vegetables by chopping them super fast. It was way better than doing that shit IRL and getting paid for a living. It's a shame that the Switch port was such a bootleg game apparently. How lame. Nintendogs was goated though, especially Nintendogs and Cats. I vastly prefer picking up virtual excrement than this little asshole's droppings every day. But once again, I gotta circle back to my mom. We were picking her up from the night shift one time and she saw me playing Nintendogs. I proceeded to show her the little metallic dumbbell chew toy by throwing it right at my dog's head. And when I tell you she smacked the shit out of me over beating up a virtual dog, I'm dead ass. I guess I won in the end though, because I ended up with her dog that she got in an affair. To lighten the mood a bit though, let's touch on Adventure Time, Why Did You Steal Our Garbage? I have no clue what drove me to get this game, but I never enjoyed it. And my girlfriend inexplicably has a promo tee of it despite not even knowing that it was a video game. LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga was literally everything a kid could ask for though. All 6 movies, a shitload of levels, characters, ships, dynamic set pieces, plenty of saber battles, like what's not to love? I haven't even sought out the home console ports because the DS iteration that I grew up with felt so perfect to me. And Rock Revolution was an all-timer, right? Nobody that I ever knew had this game in the height of Guitar Hero fever, but man, I cherish this one. It's pretty rough to play on emulation now, so I really need to find a copy online. But I was never talented or driven enough to play any of the instruments, so I just ended up treating this game as a karaoke machine. And honestly, it just plays like a stripped down version of Pop Scene for me. Our final section today will be the StreetPass games, and dear lord, Nintendo, what have you done getting rid of them 2 consoles in a row? It was such a small but really fun, intuitive concept. Pass by another user and they'll visit your respective games. It was genius to keep people engaged and constantly burning through their system's battery. The launch batch of games were fine, nothing great to me except maybe like Find Me, but Jesus Christ, that first DLC wave was god tier to me. Warrior's Way was so sick with the rock paper scissors system, and I progressed really fast in that one. And Me Force felt like the most in-depth experience from what I remember. All the different types of shots that you can do were so fun, but embarrassingly, for little ZM who was concerned about his masculinity at the time, my favorite game was Flower Town. I remember almost nothing about this game, but having a virtual garden that people visited blew my mind. I loved how many different plants there were in this game, and I would love to play it again, but the damn eShop is dead. Man, I appreciate y'all sticking around. I know this is a wrestling channel, and this is probably annoying some people to miss a weekend ranking, but man, this video came from the heart. I miss how unique and lighthearted that Nintendo games used to feel back in the day. Take it easy, y'all.